Hello students, this is Jyotsana Kapoor, Assistant Professor of Bachelor of Business Administration, Axis Institute of Higher Education. Today I am going to cover the topic Business Communication, which is a very interesting subject in Bachelor of Computer Applications for first year students. So, business communication is very interesting subject, not only for your academic part, it is also important for your professional part. Once you will cover your Bachelor of Computer Application program in total, afterwards when you will be going in your professional life, at that moment business communication is, trust me, going to be very important part of your professional career. So business communication, uh, we are going to have the topics like introduction, relevance of communication, communication process, types of communication, mediums of verbal communication, mediums of written communication. Where relevance is basically going to tell you how communication is going to be applied in your personal and your professional life. Next, communication process, we'll cover it later. Verbal and written communication are the mediums of verbal communication. Like verbal communication is such a communication when you use your words, when you speak something to the other person. At that moment, you are using your verbal communication. And when you are giving any communication to the other person in a written form or the typed form of your PPTs or your Word document, that will be a part of the written communication. Moving forward, let's discuss about the introduction of business communication. Communication is defined as an interchange of thought or information to bring about mutual understanding and confidence. It is the exchange of facts, ideas, opinions among the various people. It brings about commonness of interest, purpose, and effort. Common forms of communication include speaking, typing, signaling, and gesturing as we apply these things in our daily life. You usually connect to the other person and you share your ideas, opinions, information about any topic. Even in your college also, your college communicates to you in terms of giving you notices, giving you multiple circulars at the time when it is needed, and it differs from the situation to situation when you need verbal communication or when you need written communication. Next, here these are the basic, very important and imperative definitions of business communication, which is, in the words of Ellen, communication is the sum of all the things one person does when he wants to create understanding in the mind of the other. It is bridge of meaning. It involves a systematic and continuous process of telling, listening, and understanding. It is a very simple thing. Communication is just a very normal process. You apply it in your daily life. You need one glass of water from in your house. You will ask your sister to deliver that glass of water to you. This is also a communication. This make it, what has happened, there was a mutual understanding between both the person that one person has to take water and the other person will be delivering the water, right? So where, like, communication will give you a sense of common understanding between two people. Next is, according to Newman and Summers, communication is an exchange of facts, ideas, opinions, or emotions by two or more persons. Very simple thing. In your regular classes, also one faculty will be teaching to the group of students, large number of students. This is also a form of communication, which is verbal communication. Here, faculty is sharing the education information to the students. Next is characteristics of communication. These are very important terms, not only like for your understanding, but also for your applying role. It is a two-way process. You will understand it like one person is listening and the other person is obviously speaking. If I am speaking something to you, then it is very like a normal thing that you are listening. It is a two-way process. And similarly, when the other person will give the feedback to the first person, it becomes a process of the communication. Next is information sharing and understanding. I'm sharing some information to you and you are getting some grasp of the business communication. That means you are understanding the concepts. Next is verbal and non-verbal communication. Verbal communication, as I told you, it is when you use words, when you speak something to the other person. And non-verbal communication, like your gestural communication, you nod your head, you say yes or no by your face movements, and even your body movements, your hand movements, your body postures. These all are the things which covers your non-verbal communication. And also, mind you, sometimes silence is also a reply to the other person. It doesn't mean if you're not speaking anything, that means it is giving some signal to the other person. This is also part of communication. Next is circular flow. There will be a process basically. Like we will have a sender, we will have a receiver, and in between we will have the channel of management, channel of communication, where the person who is speaking will encode the message, right? And then after there will be a medium or the channel through which the communication is being delivered to the receiver. Then receiver will get the message, he will decode the message, and then after he will give the feedback to the sender. This will cover the process of communication. Next is goal oriented. If I'm telling you something, that I'm also having some goal to make you understand something, right? Communication is always oriented towards achieving a goal and always establishing a mutual understanding between both the parties. Next is it is a continuous process. It goes on and on and on. It is never stopping. Next is pervasive activity. It means it is a very essential part, and it is very omnipresent. Up when you get birth, right? Right from your infancy to your old age, communication will have its significance throughout your life. Whether you are in your personal life or you are in professional life, communication is going to be a very dominant role in your life. Next is relevance of communication. So, how it is relevant to you? Communication is vital for relationships, for building a healthy relationship. In terms of like your professional example, if I take, you are having one manager, you are the employee of that manager. Obvious, this is a very normal thing that manager will give you some task to accomplish by some date, and then you will ask your manager how to do it, when to do it, how to accomplish it. These are the things you are going to ask him, and then definitely it has played some role to establishing one professional relationship between both the parties. Next is communication acts as a bridge. Very essential thing, like you are getting some communication by me today by a means of channel. We are having a recording sessions here, right? So you are listening by a medium. It is acting as a bridge, right? Next is communication is the key to organizational success. No organization can achieve its goals until and unless it is having good form of communication in between. When verbal communication is needed, apply it. When written communication is needed, apply it. When there is a need of evidence in between, then you will have to apply written communication. So this is the key to the organizational success. Organization leads to adequacy and clarity. When your things are clear in your mind, you know what you are going to achieve, when, how, why. These are the things which will be giving you clarity about the concept. Why? Communication. Communication is necessary for survival of human beings. Very important for survival. If you're taking for survival, definitely for survival, you must have a group of friends with you. You will be communicating to each other, right? Otherwise your life will be monotonous. How can you live alone, right? You need some people to talk to, you need some food. If you're needing some food, then you will order, you will say something to the other person. It is necessary for survival, right? Next is communication is vital for personal and professional success, as I've told you earlier. Okay, purpose of communication, not very different, like exchange of information. If I'm exchanging some information, this is my purpose, right? Issue of orders and instructions in companies or organizations. This is basically like issue of orders, issue of instructions. Instructions are given to the other person in written or the verbal way, so that other person can understand, okay, these are the things that are my role, I'm going to play it. Next is education, for making you educated. Advice and counseling. People always come to the other people to get some advice, to get some counseling for warranty, for bonding, raising morale, motivation. These all are the things which communication have a purpose to do, right? If you will have some purpose to achieve, then only you will be getting right understanding of the things. So by communication, your purpose are getting fulfilled. Next is our communication process and cycle. This is, trust me, a very interesting and very important part of your academic, and not only academic, also for your self understanding. First, process starts from the sender. So sender is the person who is actually initiating the communication. When sender speaks something or sender writes something, process initiate from that stage. Then after, to send any message, the person needs to encode the message, what you are going to write in that or what you are going to speak in that. This is the encoding part of your message. Then after, channels of communication comes, through which channel you are going to speak to the other person, right? In between, you will get some noise, some barriers, some other people, some noise. If you are speaking to somebody in the class, other people can be like disturbing the class. It is a noise which is disrupting your communication. Next is receiver. Once you from the channel of communication, receiver is getting the information and receiver decodes the message. Okay, he will understand what was the message, what was it meaningful for me, was it not meaningful for me. So this way, decoding of the message is done, and again the noise will be coming in between. So understanding that message, and then after receiving, receiver will give the feedback to the other person. Fine. Next is elements of communication. Elements are the parts you have studied in the process, like sender, encoding of message channel, receiver, decoding, feedback. These are the elements of communication which is making communication process fulfilled, right? So, like communication cycle cannot be completed until unless you will not have these elements, and so the communication process has sender, communicator, encoding of message, communication channel, like it could be verbal, it could be written, it could be like your WhatsApp messages, it could be your voice messages. Now you will be getting the difference in between this. Receiving, receiver, decoding, feedback. Feedback is the term which is very quite important. Feedback is the message which is being given by the receiver to the sender. It is vice versa thing. Message was the information which was given by sender to the receiver, and when receiver is getting giving the message to the sender, this becomes feedback part. Next is types of communication. So we are here classifying the communication in three parts. Like we are having three bases of communication to bifurcate. Like first is communication based on parties involved. What are the parties involved in communication? It is like internal communication and external communication. Okay. When you are talking to the other people within your organization, right? If you are a student and you are talking to your faculty, your HOD, your principal, this is internal communication. Internal parts, all the people are internal to the organization, right? And when it comes to internal communication is again bifurcating in vertical and horizontal communication. Vertical communication, as we know, the vertical line is like a straight line. Here we will have downward communication, upward communication, and diagonal communication, where basically like upward communication is such a communication where the party is at lower stage, sender is at lower stage, right? And that person in the lower stage is communicating to the person to the higher level. So like if a junior is talking to the superior, this is your upward communication, and just vice versa of it becomes downward communication, because now the superior will be giving the information to the inferior one, then it becomes downward communication. And also we have diagonal communication. Diagonal communication covers different departments. If you are the uh, junior one, and you are talking to the superior one of the different department, different stream, then it becomes diagonal communication, like cross communication. Fine. Next is your external communication. People external to your organization. Let's say, uh, government. Let's say competitors. Let's say the people of the other organization. These are your external. Like when you communicate to the other people out of your organization, those becomes your external communication. Next is your communication based on formality. So on the basis of formality, we have two parts of communication: formal and informal. In basically, see, formal communication, the information is very structured, very formal, and with the sense of dignity and respect, right? Like if you're talking to your superior in a conference hall, it becomes a formal communication. You will be having very structured communication. What you are going to say to the other person, this is very structured and formal. You will be following rules, all the norms of the organization. This becomes your formal communication. And informal communication is also a part of communication in the organization, but it is like not so much structured form. It is slightly casual approach to the other person when it comes to the informal communication. The other is other types of communication like personal communication and mass communication. So in personal communication, you are talking one to one, face to face, or it could be like your simple one to one group. In mass communication, when one speaker is giving lecture to the whole group, right? There would be like a large number of group. Let's say singer is singing in the live contest, and they are singing, right? So there is a like large audience in front of the speaker. He's singing and other people are listening to the music. This is mass communication. Fine. Next is organization structure and chain of command. So here, like basically, for to make it simple for you, let's understand initially, like in the colleges what we have principals, HODs, right? Then after we have faculty members, and then after students. There is a hierarchy. So initially, there will be a person who is at the superior position, like chairman, directors, and then after comes the principal and HODs, and then after comes like your coordinators, then after faculties and students. So there is a proper hierarchy. If as a student you are having any grievance to the subject or any issue, you will be communicating to the coordinator. If still your problem is not being solved, you will be coordinating to the principal. Still you can coordinate to the director. Then what is it showing to you? It is showing that hierarchy, how the process is flowing in the organization. So similarly in organizations, what we have, there will be a general manager. General manager will be having different managers under him, like production manager, finance manager, marketing manager, again plant. Now production manager will also be dealing with the group of different supervisors. Here we have like plant superintendent and purchase officer. Again this process will be bifurcated in foremen. There will be three foremen. Again similarly purchase officer also have three to four foremen under him. This way the communication is being flowing to the other people in the organization. This is a hierarchy. No worker can directly communicate to the like general manager. There is a hierarchy and every person has to follow that hierarchy. If he is having any issue or anything to know or any doubt, although he can talk to the any people, but organization formally have a structured form. In an formal communication, firstly he will be going to the foreman, and then after to the like plant superintendent, and then after production manager. This is the flow, how the communication goes. It could be like vertical or horizontal as well. Nice. And next is mediums of verbal communication. As I've told you, there are like multiple mediums of communication to talk to. And there's like face-to-face conversation, meeting in person physically, like in your classrooms. You can clear your doubts, you get the understanding of the concepts and topics face to face, right? So face-to-face communication is having an advantage of getting the things in a more better sense. You will be able to understand the things. If you will having any query, then you can quickly get your query solved because the person is in front of you. Simultaneously, like a question is being asked and answered, or the query is being solved. Next is like teleconferences. You are on a call and you are getting something, you're talking to the other person. This is teleconference. This is a verbal communication. That's why your communication will go smoothly in less time, less cost, right? So it also applies to the face-to-face communication because there is not any so much cost which is being incurred. And next is press conference. Press conference cost you. It is like any politician giving any like a political speech to the other people in front of media. There will be like multiple media channels recording him, and the message is being circulated to the mass, to the citizen of the country. It will be a very matlab, like a press conference will be applying at those stages where the like the person needs to deliver his information to the mass, large number of groups in very less time. Next is like video conference. Video conference you must have seen in your daily life, Google Meet or Microsoft meeting or Zoom meetings. These are enabling you to have a video conference with the other people through the internet, most important thing. Where video conference will also be having the touch of face-to-face communication plus teleconferences, because you are not physically present, but you are like able to see the face of the other person. You'll be able to hear the voice of the other person. That's why video conference is like merge of teleconference and face-to-face communication. And next is demonstration. Companies usually do the demonstration of their products to make the people aware of their product. If there will be a new product in the market, let's say, and people are not aware about that product, so company will be giving the demonstrations to the other people. You must have seen like electronic gadgets organizations, like let's say car. When you go to a car showroom, the other people will be saying you to have a test drive of the car, right? So this is also part of demonstration. They're telling you what are the features of the car, how can you be more comfortable with which car, right? So this is the part of demonstration and also the part of communication. Next is radio recordings. I'm very sure you must be listening to the FM radios like 93.5. आप songs सुनते हैं, you are listening songs to the different channels. That's why like radio recording use the frequency to the and delivering the communication to the mass, right? This is a form of communication where basically person is not in front of each other, but you get the information through radio recordings. Also there will be like in less time, if you want to communicate to the like whole people of of the city, so you can use a radio recording thing, right? So it is also helping for the businesses to communicate their information. Next is meetings. Meetings is like this kind of structured and formal meeting where we will have a group of people sitting together to discuss the common objective, to discuss what are the agendas, what we are going to do. It could be like different type of meetings, what are the agenda to be discussed. Usually it can be like your video conference meeting or your in-person meetings as well. Grapevine. Grapevine is like if you break the term, it is grape and wine. Basically, if you have seen the grape structure, it is like it gets broken down into different branches. Yes. Similarly, there's also a form of grapevine communication, which is an informal communication where, like, if you need to send any information to the other person, you are what using. You have told the communication to the one person, and now what will happen? That one person will be giving the information to the other three-person. The other three-person will be giving the communication to the other two or the three-person. That's why this will be framing a structure like a grapevine. That's why this communication is called as grapevine communication. And mind you, this communication is your informal communication. This is not part of your formal communication. Next is group discussion. Group discussion, it applies here also. Like a group of people discussing what are the things they are going to do. In group discussion, what happens? There will be a group of people sitting together to discuss what are the things they are going to have in their 5 term plans, 5 year plan. What how they are going to achieve those plans? What are the things they are going to apply in between? These are the kind of the discussions organizations usually have to discuss. Next is mediums of written communication. Very normal medium. Emails, you must have heard you are sending email via your Gmail account, right? Emails ho gaya. Then SMS, you must be getting some pop-ups of the companies to buy that or buy any other thing. Like very e-commerce companies are usually applying SMS marketing to the to the place to get their to get the revenues higher, right? It is also a form of marketing. SMS, business letters. Business letters are basically a written form of letter, or it could be a online PDF also, where the communication is being delivered to the group of people. Business letters, it could be like your employment letter, your insurance letter, your bank application to open an account, right? So these are the forms of the letter which we will be covering in the we will be covering in depth in the units. Next is reports. Reports are like basically it will be having a agenda, what you are going to be having in the report. You must be seeing some articles in the newspapers. So these are all the also the reports of the situation, what they are depicting to the other, what they are depicting to the mass. So these are your written communication forms. Here we have done. Thank you.